welcome back to Blue Mountain Bushcraft and Outdoors. If you're like me and you're really into hammock camping, backpacking, and lightweight gear, stick around. I really think you're going to like what I have to show you. So, if you recall, several months ago, I showed you guys a backpack from a company called Outdoors Vitals. They are a family-owned and run company out in Utah. They have a direct-to-consumer based system, so they don't go out into retail. They develop their products in-house. They have them manufactured, and they send them out directly from their distribution system. So there's no middleman to bump the prices up. What we're here today about is something that these guys have sent me to take a look at. This is a pre-production model of a a hammock sleep system. But it's a whole lot more than that. Okay, so those of you that are into hammock camping like I am know that hammocking kind of requires some specific gear to stay comfortable in a wide variety of temperatures. A typical sleeping bag that you get into and lay on top of that you can put into your hammock will only really warm the top of you as you lay on top of your sleeping bag and compress all that material underneath you. Any kind of cold or wind or anything like that can come straight up through the bottom of your sleeping bag and get you pretty cold pretty fast, even if you've got a pretty heavy bag. So you need something that actually wraps underneath the hammock itself to maintain its loft and give you some insulation. In the past, I've achieved this with a few different underquilts, some of which can get pretty expensive. Then in addition to the underquilt, you need either another sleeping bag that you can get into or an overquilt if it's cold. So there's a whole lot that goes into maintaining your temperature in a hammock as the weather cools off. In addition to that, now if you decide you're not going to camp in your hammock, you're going to sleep on the ground in a tent, or you just can't, you don't have the trees available to hang your hammock and you need to come up with something else, well then your hammock camping gear doesn't always translate really well to that style of sleeping. Okay, so what Outdoors Vitals has come up with is something called the Mummypod. And this is a sleeping bag that is designed to be used with a hammock and can also be completely reconfigured to be a fully enclosed mummy bag for just sleeping on a sleeping pad, on the ground, under a tarp, in a tent, you know, however you would normally use your normal sleeping bag. Let's take a closer look at this as it's already set up on the hammock, and we'll tell you a little bit more about it. All right, so what you're looking at is the 15-degree Mummypod from Outdoors Vitals. And this is the 15-degree down storm loft bag. So this is an 800 fill down material. The exterior is a ripstop nylon that has been coated for water resistance. The down material itself has also been coated for water resistance. And you can see the grid pattern that's sewn into that. That is a unique baffle system that they've developed so that the down material, your insulation, stays put and doesn't sink down, due to gravity, where it's not going to give you any top cover. Another pretty innovative thing that they've done is they've partnered with YKK. The zippers on this are YKK zippers, and it is a brand new zipper system from YKK that is advertised to be anti-snag. And from everything that I can tell, I've slept in this one night already and played with it a bunch. It is exactly that. there's no material getting caught in this zipper. And I'll give you a close-up here and show it to you. But suffice it to say that I haven't been able to get this thing snagged yet. All right, so this is the anti-snag zipper. I don't really know exactly what the heck they've done to this to make it anti-snag. All I know is that it works, and it works pretty darn well. You can see even there, this material is trying to get caught in it, and it just doesn't really want to catch. Okay, so you're probably asking, how does this thing get set up? You saw me in the very beginning of the video here just simply pull this thing out of the stuff sack, string it up, and I was done. The last time that I used this, I slept out in it, and I left everything hooked up to the left the Mummypod hooked up to the bag, and just put everything into the stuff sack for the Mummypod. So the next time I go to set it up, all I got to do is pull it out, hook it up to the suspension system, and there's literally no setup. It took, what, less than a minute to set this thing up? That's fantastic. Let me show you how this hooks into the hammock itself. Okay, so this is the head of the bag. This is where your head would be, obviously. And up top here are 2 loops sewn in specifically for using the suspension system. And all the suspension system is a length of shock cord with 2 adjustable stays here. You simply loop this through these loops, loop them through the carabiner at the head of your hammock, or whatever system that you have going on here. You could actually hook it into a loop in the sling up top, or however you have it set up. But I have one of Outdoor Vitals ultra lightweight hammock systems here that mates up very well with this. But you just simply loop that through there and tension it so that it stays. While we're up here at the top of the Mummypod, let's take a look at the baffle system that they have put in here. This is pretty cool too. You've got 2 heavy down baffles on either side here. These are designed so that as you snug up into your hammock, you can actually wrap these around you, kind of stuff them wherever you need them to be, and they really do help seal in the warm air that's inside and keep the cold air from up here from penetrating your hammock. Now you're probably going to ask, well, how do you know? Because you're doing this review in the summertime. And you're right. The first night that I got this hammock, we had some very unseasonably cool weather. It was only up to about 70 during the day and mid to lower 50s at night. So I took that opportunity to go out and try this thing out. And I was beyond warm enough. This is a 15-degree bag. But you can see the baffles here have some Velcro that you can fold up on itself if you don't want to use it or for storage. And that'll just kind of help to keep things in place. Yep. This one also has a small pocket. You could put some hand warmers in here. You could put your cell phone in here. Whatever you needed to keep close, you've got a small pocket there to do that. So let's work our way down the bag a little bit, and you'll see that this zipper track runs almost the full length. Down here there is another zipper that you can open up. This is a standard type zipper. It's not the anti-snag, but I'm sorry, I don't know that you'd be using this one all that much. But you know, it is there if you want to adjust your ventilation. Last thing I wanted to show you up here at the head is you've got a little bit of a guard, a shield up here at the top of the zipper track, and you've got a single drawstring. so that as you sink down in here, and I'll get into it and show it to you, you can draw this up. Another nice thing about this is if you're going to be out of your camp for a while, and maybe it's a buggy area, you don't want critters crawling in here, you can cinch this thing up and essentially seal up the whole top here so that anything that wants to get inside your bag while you're away from it is going to have a pretty hard time doing so. Okay, so how does this thing hook onto the bottom? Very simple. Again, you've got a piece of shock cord here. You've got 2 loops to attach the shock cord to. And you simply run those all the way up through the carabiner or whatever loop system that you have at the top of your hammock. Tighten that up and you're good to go. And by loosening that drawstring, you just open up the bottom here. You'll see 2 additional loops here. These are here just for storage and for hanging, because you don't want to keep this compressed all the time. Over time, that down, or if you choose the synthetic model, will lose some of its loft if it's compressed for long periods of time. But the drawstring just opens this track up, and you know, if it's warmer out and you want more airflow, you can leave it like that. And if you're trying to constrict as much air from getting in there, you can tighten this thing all the way down. And cinch it up tight. And you'll get virtually no air coming in through this hole, even when you're in it. I'll show you another pretty cool thing here. Is this flap. This flap is what drops down. You can see it's got a zipper tab in here, and when you take this whole unit off of your hammock and just use it as a regular mummy bag, this zips up and completely encloses your foot box. When you tighten this piece up, you've got this thing hanging out here. You simply stuff that down inside, finish making this tight, and now you've got this extra bundle of insulation down here in this nice generous foot box. So a lot of thought went into this design, and from what I can tell, you know, given the temperature limitations that I have, it works fantastic. All right, guys, when it's time to get in, unzip it. Open up your hammock. Hop in, and you're good to go. Don't zip mosquitoes and biting flies in with you. If all you need is an underquilt, you can leave it just like this. If you need more insulation, grab that nice anti-snag zipper, and you can tuck yourself in as much as you need to. Okay guys, let's take this off of the hammock itself, and I'll show it to you in its sleeping bag configuration. Trying to keep this thing out of the dirt, but I'm going to close this bottom up. Again, this bottom zipper here is not anti-snag. You're going to have to watch just like you normally would with most stuff. That main anti-snag zipper is going to ruin me from all my other zipper items. And that's it. You can see You get a pretty nice broad toe box in here, so it's not as confining as your typical mummy bag. The zipper in this runs down the center, which I rather like. As you saw in the beginning when I took this thing out, the bag comes with a really nice compression stuff sack. So after you've got it stuffed in place, make sure all your cords are where they need to be. Close up the drawstring. Take the lid. Clip in the buckle, and you can compress this thing down to about the size of a volleyball, really. And then this weighs about 2.5 pounds. All right, guys, so let's go over some of the specs and features of this. Well, we've already gone the features, but let's go over the specs. Like I said, this is the down bag. It's the Storm Loft version. It's a 15-degree bag, and forgive me while I do some reading because I don't have this stuff memorized, but the 15-degree Storm Loft down bag, 2 pounds, 10 ounces. This happens to be the long, wide version, so it's maybe an ounce more, if that. They don't have a separate weight listed. Compressed size 9 by 8, which I showed you. The regular version is a shoulder girth of 66 inches and a bag length of 75 inches. This one, like I said, is the wide because I have a tendency to get kind of compressed in my shoulder area. So this has a shoulder girth of about 70 inches with an overall length of 81 inches. Price for either version of the 15-degree bag direct to consumer is $250. And you can actually get it cheaper than that now if you go to the Kickstarter link that's down below and get in on it early. The 0-degree Storm Loft bag, so this exact same thing but with more insulation, weighs in at 3 pounds. Again, it's a 0-degree system. Compresses down to 9 by 8.5 inches, so a tiny bit bigger. The dimensions themselves are the same. You can have the regular or the tall and wide. Now they also offer these in a synthetic material, which is a Storm Light. Now that is a brand new proprietary synthetic material that they've come up with. It's supposed to be much smaller fibers. I don't remember all the details on it, but it's supposed to be much more compressible, warmer, and lighter. So pretty nice high-end stuff, and it's going to be a fair bit cheaper than the down. But they have a 30-degree bag in the Storm Light and a 15-degree bag. So the 30-degree bag in the Storm Light synthetic is 2 pounds and 14 ounces, and the 15-degree Storm Light, which would be comparable to what this is 4 pounds and 9 ounces. So it's a fair bit heavier. And the pricing on those for the 30-degree Storm Light is $105, and the 15-degree is $125. So heavier, but cheaper. So, you can pick which one you want. The features are all the same, just different materials, different pricing, different weights. It's an excellent product. I really like it. I cannot wait to get this thing out in some colder weather this fall